In today's podcast episode, I invited Emily Dallara to talk about how different nervous system states show up in business owners, be it a CEO of a huge company or an entrepreneur with a small startup or employees, to help you understand what drives your decisions, thoughts, feelings and behavior in your business or your workplace and why you might be struggling to grow. This is the first video in the series I'm going to release connecting the nervous system and business and money in general. So subscribe if you don't want to miss those. So who is Emily Dallara? Emily is a former digital asset CMO turned a somatic practitioner, advisor and an accredited high-performance coach who helps founders, startups, CEOs and their teams to operate from what she calls the supercharged state, where execution, energy and leadership are all aligned by mastering the nervous system and performance. With over 17 years experience in growth and team leadership, she blends strategy, somatic work and performance tools to help businesses scale sustainably, starting from the nervous system. Emily is also a podcast host, a co-author of the book Visible, and a dog mom of 2 Vietnamese rescues, now living in the French countryside with her husband and a solid stash of Yorkshire tea. Let's get into it, and I hope you will enjoy this conversation as much as I did. So, Emily, I'd love to talk to you about this topic of how the nervous system states show up in business owners or the pitfalls that people experience as business owners in trying to scale their business or just make an income even. And I would love this podcast to be kind of in the format that helps people to self-diagnose almost and self-qualify and understand why they don't succeed. And obviously that's your niche and the subject that you love. And so I would love your experience as a coach working with business owners and CEOs and teams to share kind of from your experience and your perspective, how people can help themselves basically. Hopefully this can be kind of a helping ground for them to start. So maybe we can start by talking about how the different nervous system states show up in business owners, quite specific examples maybe we can look at. And so, yeah, if we talk about the fight, flight, freeze and fawn response, and we can start with anyone you maybe prefer to talk about and just kind of what you see, how people play out this pattern in their business and in their careers.
Yeah, good question. So I see all of these nervous systems playing out, and it's really funny because somebody who's not trained in this would have no idea that this is going on under the surface. But when a founder comes to me and starts to tell me what's going on and I ask them all the questions, it's so obvious what is going on for me. It's so obvious what's going on for their teams. And the biggest problem I see, because I work with either really well-funded businesses, so they may be already raised capital, they're making money, they're good. They have a medium-sized business, maybe a smaller company, a smaller sized team. And they are still running as if they have to raise capital and make the business work.
Okay.
They're still operating in that reactive state, like go, go, go. We have to make it or we're going to break and we're not going to be successful. They're reactive. They are constantly on top of their team all the time. They're not letting go of things. They're not able to delegate. Although they don't think they're a micromanager, they will tell me till they're blue in the face, I'm not micromanaging. I'm just making sure things are running forward and moving forward, right? They are micromanaging. They are constantly rechecking work. They are still wired when they get home and they're like talking at a million miles an hour to their partner. And they're not stressed. They don't ever describe themselves as stressed. They don't describe themselves as burned out, but they are on all the time. It's like, I'm like constantly thinking about work and like ideas and innovation, and they're like excited about it. It's not like a bad thing for them, but they're actually tiring themselves out. And so you see these big cycles of like they go, 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 go. And then they're like wake up and their body is like a brick and they can't do anything for like a full day, for example, even though they've got tons of meetings to attend to. And they've got investors like texting them. Like they run on this like urgency fuel. That's it. It's like they've
how
got
often does that happen? Like when they crash, like how often?
It really depends on people. Like some of them, it's like once a week at least.
Wow.
So like they don't get anything, they get everything done. And then in a weekend, they feel like they can't do anything that they want to do because they're shattered.
Right.
It's like that. And they're never fully burned out because also on top of this, most of them are like obsessed with like physical health. So
Mm.
they're doing biohacking, they're doing cold plunges, they are like have the best food and health regime, right? So they're actually looking after their physical health most of the time, to be honest, because they're at this stage in their business, they've got a bit more time
Yeah.
availability and capacity. So they're not completely dead and on the floor like they used to be, because they have been through burnout before, most of them. But they're at this like simmering stage where it's like it's like always on the edge of burnout. And then they have a big rest day and then they're fine. But they're actually like starting to feel like, I don't know if I want to do it like this anymore. And that's usually when they come to me, because they're like, this is really, I'm kind of over being like this now.
This
And so that's, yeah.
constant cycle, and they're starting to see
Yeah.
that there's something wrong, but they don't know what's wrong, basically, right?
Yeah.
So
And they're in this just activated state. So they're not like full fight flight. They're just like switched on,
Mhm.
constantly looking for things to do. And they're also the ones who are still running from fear most of the time. They tell you that they're not. Like they will tell you everything that they are not. They're not fearful. They're not scared of their investor texting them about stuff. Like, of course they are. And so that's where they're running from. And they can do all the work, like all the mindset work and stuff, and still one text will like throw them off for days. And so
Okay.
that's the kind of person I work with. And then you've got their teams, who I also work with, who are then reacting to that. And
Yeah, of
they're also
course.
in the same state as well,
Yeah, yeah.
but they're fawning.
That's interesting.
Mm,
Yeah. That
it's
makes me
very
think of
interesting.
I worked for a brand. I was a photographer at one point for a little brand. And they were trying to kind of sell, it was an eyewear company, and they were trying to be very kind of luxurious eyewear company. And it was such a small team, and the owner, he was always so stressed out. He had ADHD. He told me he had ADHD, and he had insomnia because of it, and he was always so wired. And I can definitely see how it affected me and his very
Mm,
few, especially when the team is small. I think it
yeah.
it's like a family almost system, it
Mhm.
bounces off of you so much. And everyone almost started having ADHD, it's like everyone doesn't know what they're
It's,
doing, and
yeah,
everything is just a bit of a mess. Yeah.
exactly. And that's the consequence of it.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't know what they're doing
Yeah.
because they're mirroring their behavior. Like I have this model called the leadership bubble of balance. Like how you feel is reflected on the outside in your team,
Mm.
right? You have to remember that. Like you can tell yourself it's not the case. You're an energetic being. Like what happens here happens there too. And so if they're feeling the pressure, then so is their work. Like they're not doing the right work. They're going to start saying yes to you just so you don't like be a dick to them, basically. And then you're not going to get the best work because
Yeah.
their brain, as we know, is not fully functioning when they're in this state. And
Yeah.
so the cycle just continues. You get like low power work, you get stressed, you got getting results, and it's just like a mess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember he was amazing in that he actually wanted feedback, because he was like, something's not working. And
Hmm.
one thing I could see, I was on the side of doing photography and marketing and stuff like that, and he was putting so little money into that. And I was like, that's literally the stuff that sells your glasses. You need to put more effort into that and more money. And he's like, I don't have the money, I don't have the money. So he was running on that scarcity mindset, and the
Mhm.
very thing that would propel his business forward, he wasn't able to do because of the
Yeah.
scarcity. So it's such a difficult loop.
Interesting.
And yeah, I mean, I can see how it's like a nervous system, blended nervous system state. It's like there's that fight, especially what you're describing. It sounds like a fight, right? That overworking, the
Mhm.
perfectionism, the lack of delegation. But then when there's that scarcity mindset, it's almost like a freeze as well. It's like, I can't put the money, I can't do it, and then I could feel that freeze, because then I'm like, what am
Mhm.
I supposed to do with the lack of, things that I can work with
Mm.
as a
Well, it's,
marketing. Mm.
yeah, the freeze really comes in as well in that point. Like I've worked with really big crypto exchanges, massive ones,
Mm.
when they had millions of dollars of budget and they froze a marketing budget because they're scared of the market. Like when the markets crash, they're like, we're not doing any acquisition or ads or anything. And so I remember I've worked in, because I used to be a CMO. So I've walked into teams. Back when I worked in the exchanges, I was leading the product marketing and global marketing teams. And so I would sometimes just like get a call because I'd worked at one exchange. All the exchanges were like, you did that for this place. Can you now do it for us? And they would be like, hey, Emily, we've got this team. They're not really performing well. We need you to come in, like sort the marketing out.
Mm.
So I would come in, but then they wouldn't be given any marketing budget either to this team or the
Right.
acquisition team. And I was like, I can fix your product and I can fix how the activations happen and all that stuff. but you're not getting any new people in either. So you kind of have to like have this cycle, and they just freeze the budget because they're terrified that they need to retain the money for when the bear market is like, so the lower market where there's no
So that's interesting.
activity.
That's interesting. It's like that even that word retaining, it's like you are storing, you're in that mode of preservation. And I
Yeah.
think that's actually that is very descriptive of a freeze response, isn't it? It's like you're going into like a wintering of like, I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
preserve and conserve. And I think it's not wrong to actually do that sometimes. I think, we kind of have to go through these flow states, but it's when people get stuck in that, that's when they actually start losing even more money, right? Because they're not
Yeah.
growing.
Yeah, you have to be able to learn when that's happening for you
Mm.
and know that you have to take the actions. You have to take the right action. But how do you know the right action if your brain's not online?
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's when you come in to kind of actually teach them regulation skills and
Yeah.
tools. Yeah. So if we go through that every nervous system state and kind of give examples to people so they understand what that actually looks like. Because as you say, most of your clients come in, they're like, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just, doing this stuff. But it's like this stuff is the symptoms.
Okay, so I can give you like specific things and then we'll
Yeah.
tell you them the states. Okay, so reacting in Slack messages, like jumping in, like having to send a text really quickly without thinking about what you're sending, that is in a fight mode.
Yeah.
You need to make something happen now. You're terrified that someone else is going to do it the wrong way.
Hmm. Urgency is like a really
Urgency.
big thing with fight, definitely. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think
I would
everything
also say it's
everything.
flight as well. I would also say
Hmm.
it's sometimes can be a flight thing as well, like the restlessness.
True. Yeah. But I think the flight, sorry, it doesn't come with so much action. Like
Hmm.
fight is like acting,
Yeah.
acting, acting, acting.
Yeah.
I think to be fair, everything you've described about the people that come to you is pretty much all fight. They're coming
Hmm.
at the problem all the time. I think that's very fighty
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah. And then the flight energy is when they are wired and they literally can't switch off. It's
Mm,
like they're not full flight though, they're activated. So like there's a spectrum, right?
of
You move it up
course.
and down all the time. And so if you're a full flight, it would be literally like a good example, literally recently coached someone through this. CEO did not agree with the investor's decision. No, I don't agree with you. I'm quitting. They bailed
Mm,
on the team. And when we were in coaching, they were like, I think I did the wrong thing, but I did it really quickly. That's
uh,
flight. They're getting out of there to save themselves. They don't agree with it, but actually they don't want it to happen to them either. That's
yeah.
flight.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I did write some examples because I was like thinking about it before. I was like, because obviously you work with bigger teams as well, and I was wondering how does it show up in smaller businesses and kind
Mhm.
of small business owners. Um, and what I thought about was that it's definitely like a fight thing where you're trying to change your strategy all the time.
Mm.
So it's like it's everything kind of feels risky. So you're like, I'll go that way and then I'll go that way because it's the second there is activation and risk, you're like, I'm gonna go somewhere else. Which is basically what you've described, right? It's like I don't want it to happen to me, so I'm just gonna go somewhere else.
Mhm.
And I think in small businesses it shows up as constantly changing what. I mean, a lot of people think of it as like an ADHD trait, right? Whereas like I don't know what to pick, I don't know
Mhm.
what to choose, but it can be very muddled with that flight energy,
Mhm.
not wanting to commit because there's fear around that. So I
Yeah,
found that was really interesting as well.
that's a good point.
Yes, I've experienced that a lot as well in my journey, but and I've also often associated myself with ADHD, but I had to look at it and be like, where is that
Mm.
boundary? Where's that fine line? I mean, where's my
Yeah.
ADHD? Where is
It's a difficult conversation because I try really hard not to be like nervous system work is like the best work you can do, blah, 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 blah. It is, but it's not the only stuff that you can do, right? Everybody else has studied everything and there's many other modalities. But I got diagnosed when I was a kid with ADHD and then re-diagnosed as an adult. And for about a year, I was obsessed with like learning how not to be ADHD. And this was about 5 or 6 years ago, 7 years ago, maybe. And then I worked with an ADHD therapist, and I was like, oh, this is not helpful at all, not helping me do anything. It's just like literally tactical stuff like time management, time visibility, all that stuff.
Mm,
And then when I studied to be a somatic practitioner, I was like, oh, I don't have ADHD, to be honest. I
yeah.
just have symptoms of ADHD, which is literally just me not being able to decide. I have no time visualization because I don't commit to anything, all these kind of things. And it is like flight energy.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. Because, I'm on some, and I know this is slightly diverging, we'll come back to it in a moment, just to point out that I'm in this group on Facebook of business entrepreneurs with ADHD. And when people believe that they have ADHD or they've got diagnosed that they have ADHD, they put so
Mm,
much importance on that, and they constantly think, oh, that didn't work because I have ADHD. Oh, ADHD is
mhm.
in my way. And I think it's quite a disempowering place to be. And it's not to
Yeah,
take away from the diagnosis, it is hard. But it's as you say, like I think if people first look at the nervous system and sort out the regulation, then a lot of those symptoms will diminish at the very
mhm.
least, if not go away
100%.
entirely. Yeah, yeah. So that's important. Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, because I don't like to be like, you're wrong. Like, no one's wrong. Everyone's like got their own opinion. But it's like, why is there such emphasis on like on diagnosing? Like, we talk about this, don't we? It's like, what if you didn't get a diagnosis? How different would your life be?
Yeah, it's hard because I can see that it can be so validating for people that
Mm,
struggle so much, and then it's finally someone is saying, "Oh, it's because you've got this thing," and it's like it explains so much of
mm.
confusion and that struggle. But then after some time, I think it starts to do the reverse, and it gives you that powerlessness
It's
and
obsessiveness. And then you use in all the hypervigilance. And when you, who was I listening to recently? A really good episode on hypervigilance. I
mm,
think it was with Ryan Rose. So Ryan
okay.
Rose is an amazing somatic practitioner. Yeah. He's a healer. He does all sorts of stuff. And he did a webinar. I'm in his community. He did a webinar with a guy talking about hypervigilance and how hypervigilance feels symptoms.
Mm.
And so being hypervigilant and focused on the symptom is actually going to make the symptom worse. What if you just were able to regulate your nervous system and focus on the regulation, or even looking at a safe place in the body for a moment, how the pain would differ?
Oh yeah, that's so fascinating. It's
Mhm.
complex. There's no way around that. It's complex, but I
Yeah.
think I think the it's almost like it's oversimplistic, but it does almost feel like if you regulate, so many things will just automatically get
That's
better.
I struggle with that. I struggle with me oversimplifying things. And I do say like I do oversimplify this, but I oversimplify it because it is simple. Like it is
Yeah,
so easy to do, to be honest. I mean, it's not easy because it takes a long time.
it's simple
Like,
but not
yeah.
easy, basically. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like you can, if you apply the stuff like today, it will help you very short term, but you need to continue this to actually to have a long term lasting effect. Okay, let's go back to the examples.
Yeah,
So
fight and flight we've covered.
fight is a reactivity, like being in front of people, micromanaging, always being on top of people. Flight is the like the restlessness,
Withdrawal.
the withdrawal, the not being able to deal with things, all that kind of stuff. Both of these combined too can lead to burnout because you'll move in between them.
It's a gas and brake on
Hmm.
at the same time, basically. That's what we
Yeah,
describe it as, yeah.
exactly. And again, anyone who's listening, you can experience these like literally within minutes of each other. Like you can move in and out of these things. Like it's literally just an up and down thing.
More dysregulated you are, I think, is going to be even quicker as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You
Hmm.
can be like totally zen 1 minute and then like being boom, I literally can't deal with life in the next second. So then let's have a look at freeze. So freeze shows up as procrastination. People coming to me saying they need help with time management. No, you do not. You need to learn when you're actually zoning out and then why you're missing that call and why you're not able to do the work. Like I had a founder recently come to me with a person in his team who she desperately needs time management. She's not getting things done. She's so slow, but she's amazing at what she does when she does the work, right? And this person who he's talking about is super senior, like global leader, right? And I'm like, huh, that's weird because I know this person and I've coached this person. So interesting that you're getting that from her. So when I dove into it, because all the work I've been doing with her was performance based. We hadn't yet brought any of the nervous system work in. It was more like actionable stuff for her. And so when I brought this up, I said, what's happening when you're not doing the work? Like what
Mm.
happens? And she was like, I'm just sat on my Instagram. Or what was she sat doing? She's like literally online shopping or something like this. I was like, interesting. And how does it feel in the body? And then she explained it all. And I was like, you're like totally frozen. You're not even, she said, I almost feel like I come online again. I'm like, whoa, what am I doing? Like, I've got so much work to do. It's like she's switched off for a moment. I'm like, yeah. I said, interesting, cool. We can work with that now. And so we worked through it. Like we worked through the freeze state. We helped her to manage it. I gave her actionable things to do because all the work that I do, yeah, we do the nervous system work, but you also want to keep making progress too. Like you want to take actionable things. So it's like, okay, so when you feel like you're frozen and you don't know what to do that, like fill your fingers, remember that you're here.
Mm.
Then we build in a little phrase like she says, and she has the sticker on the laptop. It's okay. It's okay that this happened. What do I need to do next? What do I need to do next?
Mm. Yeah.
It's like just asking yourself.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing sometimes when you're in freeze, because freeze literally implies you're unable to move.
It's
And
really hard to get out of freeze.
yeah,
In that.
it is. It's a real blocker for the prefrontal cortex, isn't it? You're in that startled state, and that when you're describing that, gas and brake situation where you have both fight and flight on, that will result into freeze at some point, because, well, what's happening when you're putting gas and brake pedal at the same time? You're not moving. You're just not.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening, right? And it creates so much stress inside.
Yeah. And if you think about, like, if you're like the people who are listening now, if you think about, have you been in a situation where you literally can't talk? Like, I, for example, something happened recently, and I remember I stood in the kitchen and I had a shock about something on because my husband, he's French. And because English is his second language, sometimes he struggles with the tone of what he says. And so it really, like, it shocks me. He says stuff, and I'm like, as if something's like a big deal, and it's not at all. He'd done that, I think. I think it was that. And so he was then trying to just continue a conversation with me. And I was like, wait, just wait.
Something big just happened.
Yeah, like my body thought something big had happened, like something bad and terrible had happened because of his tone of voice. And then I had to just like do a bit of breath work, and I did the somatic hold and calm down a bit. I was like, okay, now what do you want? Like, talk to me. But I just really remember listening, like, and I said to him, wait, I'm frozen, like, shh, can't talk to you right now. But it was funny for me to witness it, knowing exactly what was happening, but not actually be able to snap out of it like that.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I think
interesting.
it's amazing. And what it also talks about is your ability to notice, right? And I think when people are starting on this journey, that's why people that come to you, they say there's nothing wrong with me, because
Mhm.
they don't have that capacity yet, and it's a skill. And I think that's what is important for people to understand, is that it's something you have to build on. You've been running on the same programs all your life. You're not supposed to know that these are your programs. That's the whole kind of game.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. Haha.
right? It's like it takes practice, and the way I've started is first notice after the fact, because that's the easiest thing. Once your prefrontal cortex is online, it could be a day later, it could be an hour later, it doesn't matter when. Look back, and then you're like, oh, I see what happened. And the more you do that, the time gap will shorten. I always say that to people. It will, like, the time gap between you taking the action out of your nervous system state or freezing, the time between that and you realizing that that's what's happening will shorten more and more. The more you realize it, even if it's like a whole day later, it doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
that's really good. It's the skill basically of how quickly can I notice that I'm in this state. That basically is a symptom that your prefrontal cortex is online, and that's the symptom that
Mm.
you regulated. So that's the good thing,
Mm.
isn't it?
Oh, I like how
Yeah,
you explain that.
yeah, it's good.
That's
It's
a good
good.
one. Yeah, like the gap that you can, how long does it take you to notice when you're dysregulated? Good one.
Yeah, and then another step to healing is how quickly does it actually take me to regulate? Like
Mm.
certain things that brought a lot of frustration, anger, freeze response in me a year or two ago would take me 3 days back then to regulate from. Now it takes me an hour.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and
Yes.
even though it's a whole hour, it's like it's a long time. But the difference is the important thing,
That's
isn't it?
massive. Yeah. That's how powerful it is. Like I feel exactly the same.
Mm.
Like something happened last week. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Some news that I got about work, right? Very well prepared for what was going to happen next. And still, I went into like a meltdown in my body. But what again would used to have flawed me for like a week and maybe stressed about it was like literally a day.
Yeah,
However, something else interesting happened. My body showed me through symptom, like physical symptoms, where I still wasn't regulated.
I
So
see.
we're
Yeah,
going to talk about fawn next, which is I
yeah,
went into a fawn state right after. So I managed to
yeah.
regulate the anxiety and the flight response because I was like, get me out of here. I don't want to deal with this. But then fawn came online straight away. And I got a physical symptom on my eyelid. I got a rash on my eye.
Yeah, wow.
But because I recognized that it literally happened the same hour. And I was like,
And I remember you
oh,
saying that did happen for years, isn't
yeah.
it? Before
Yeah.
that,
I was
yeah.
like, oh, isn't that interesting? I've been trying to figure out this for years. Like I've been trying to figure out what is causing it because I mean, I think the more you learn about this stuff and the more you train in it, you stop looking for external answers. Like I've tried everything with my skin. I've tried everything. And this rash has never responded to anything ever. And one guy said to me years ago in France, actually, I remember I came here on a holiday. This is in my 20s. And I had this terrible rash all over my eye and it was spreading around here. And he was like, you need to look at your stress levels. Didn't ever think anything of it because in the past, so many practitioners have told me about my stress levels. I'm not stressed, I'm fine.
Yeah, I don't like when people like put everything under the umbrella of stress. Like stress is such a umbrella term. It's like, what do you mean stress?
Exactly. And so my nervous system, this actually happens when I'm in a fawn state. When I've said yes, when I mean no, when I really mean no. Situation, I was saying yes just to keep other people happy in this situation. And it was around money. And so that's where all the fear came from.
Wow, bodies are so clever, aren't they?
Yeah,
You can try
it's
and get rid of it.
fascinating.
You can try and get rid of it with all the meds you want, with all the creams you want, but it'll be like, you're not hearing me, you're not understanding. And
Yeah.
you'll just
And
continue
the moment that you accept that it is because of that situation, like it's because of this situation that happened, then it can start to heal. And I don't know if you've ever studied German New Medicine. It's a concept in German New Medicine, different modalities, and they all believe that there's conflicts that happen throughout your life, a bit like the survival patterns. And once the conflict is resolved, then so is the symptom. But the more you fear the more you fear the symptom, the worse it gets. And that just applies to everything that happens to me in life.
Yeah, I guess it's basically just saying whatever you resist persists, right?
Yeah,
Basically.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And going back to the fawn response as well, if I'm thinking about it, because I also noted down some things that showed up in me and people have seen, was that fawning is also, so yeah, around money for sure, because we can undercharge or over provide. That's all fawning. And I think those things, there's such boundary violations with ourselves that no wonder we'll have a lot of these physical symptoms. Because first and foremost, when you're fawning, you're breaking your own rules with yourself, and it's like a self betrayal, isn't it? In every case of that. So yeah, that's actually such an over, what's the word, like not a very well understood one. I don't think people minimize the effects of fawning. I think the people pleasing and yeah,
but it really has a huge response on your body, and it gets you in all sorts of like all sorts of trouble. Fawning, many different ways in your life it could show up, but when it comes to business, it's doing stuff like recently someone huge, really big coach asked me to be part of their training, like as an expert, but they required X amount of sessions to be part of it. And my coach said to me, "You're going to get paid for that." And I'm like, no, it's visibility. It's really good for me. And she was like, really? and I had to ask myself, am I fawning because I want this person to like say yes to me doing things? I have to go along with what they want. And so you might see that in your business, but in the businesses that I work with, fawning comes up in the team, right? They say yes because they're scared of say no. They're literally scared that they'll get fired, or that they'll lose money. Like I'm taking a business through a pivot at the moment, and the pivot is a full business model pivot. Like, and we've worked on this for a few months now, and some of the team members are in limbo. And they're in this change limbo, and it's like we actually don't know where to put them. It's difficult. And so we're trying to support them as best as possible. And one of them was really worried that they couldn't say no to the work we were asking them to do recently because they would let the company down. Because the work we were asking them to do is not necessarily what they used to doing. But it's kind of like at the moment, we don't really know what to do with you. We want to keep you and retain you. But what does that look like?
Yeah.
So they were fawning to keep their jobs. But when it comes to the actual founders or the leaders, they fawn to the investors.
Of course, yeah.
All the time. Yeah, of course we'll do this stupid product launch that you want us to do. Yes, of course we'll do it, even though we know it's not going to work. Even though the team know it's not going to work, we're going to do it to keep you happy and to keep the funding.
It's crazy how I feel like fawn is one of those things that we don't recognize it so much as a survival thing, but it's so much about survival. It's about money, financial security, basically for all of those people, right? Whether it's CEOs or team members, it's all about survival, because like if I don't have a paycheck tomorrow, I've got nothing to eat. And it really, like, it's so fascinating how our systems then choose which way do I go? Do I fight? Do I flee? Do I fawn? And
yeah,
so
it's so
often
interesting.
I mean, in workplaces, I feel like, do you feel like it's the more common one than the fawning response? Is that the more common one to see and work with?
Yeah, especially if they've got teams. Or if the founders have money or financial insecurities.
Yeah.
Which is
Wow.
always the case.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. But I tell you who's amazing at this. If anyone wants to learn more and more about the fawn, my favorite practitioner is Callie Somatics. She's on Instagram. I always send her voice messages like, I'm telling everyone about you because I love her stuff. But her content, the way she creates it is really interesting. Just about fawn. That's it.
Okay.
And she talks a lot about sexual fawning. And so that's really interesting for both genders.
Yeah. I'm gonna look that up. What's her name again? Callie Somatics.
Callie Somatics with a K. Kali. Somatics. That's her handle.
Nice.
I love how she talks about being the villain, being not liked. Because that's another thing. You don't want to be liked either. Sorry, you do want to be liked, so you do fawn.
Of course, yeah. So it's yeah. Yeah, because it's like if you're not going to be fawn, you kind of have to go into maybe a fight response or something, which is I feel like it's more related to the villain archetype almost.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And a lot of people don't like fight response. They hate anger. The relationship in our society with anger, even in a healthy format, is so unhealthy. So
yeah. And isn't it fascinating when you're working with clients and you can just literally see that they've switched on fawn, or they've moved to flight instead, or complete detachment.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to suppress the anger.
And it's actually, you kind of have to sometimes see it as a step ladder. Like people sometimes can't go from fawn to fight. Like that's too much of a gap. They have to go into freeze and then flight and then fight. And then from fight you can go into regulation. Sometimes you kind of have to go through all the stages. It's a process you have to go. You sometimes can't jump. You have to feel it all.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I was thinking of another example as well that literally happened the other day. I love it because I get to work with teams and just look at them like it's literally like I know what's happening all the time. Like you're in this state, you're on this state. Blah, blah, blah. It's really interesting now. Now I understand exactly what's going on with them. And so one person had been asked to do something, and she'd said yes. She was like, "This is a fucking stupid idea." And she came to my session angry as hell. She's like, I'm so fucking angry that they are asking me to do this. I said yes because I thought it was the right thing to say. And now I'm so angry. So we actually just did a session on her saying all the things out loud that she was angry about.
Yeah.
And we did a little bit of like down regulation and she was fine. The session was not meant to be any kind of nervous system work, but that's what she needed at the time. And then she was able to take the action that she actually wanted to take afterwards.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
and I think that's another important point is like, it doesn't matter how much you regulate yourself. If you're continuing to have symptoms and your nervous system is continuing to be dysregulated, it's probably because you're doing the work inside, but you're not actually correcting the environment, right? Yeah. It's like your nervous system is going to continue to put these flashes out of like, something is wrong, something is off. And we're just trying to regulate it, meaning we're just trying to shut it down. And that's not really what regulation is.
Yeah, exactly. That's something that I actually talk to people a lot about because I imagine I have these guys, I work with a lot of men, and I have the men come to me and they're like, just before we start, I'm not interested in any of this woo stuff or energy stuff. Like people actually say this to me. I'm like, I understand. I wouldn't be either if I'd never actually understood any of it or learned it or been exposed to it. So I understand. And so what we actually do is we help them to understand that regulation is not about being Zen and like meditating on a hill like a Buddhist. It's about learning your body so you can operate functionally, like at the best if you want to, or you can just get to an okay state, right? But to do that is one thing. You actually then have to take intentional action to keep it up. So like just what you said.
You can almost tell them that it's actually kind of the opposite of Zen, in a sense that Zen, you're in the mind space of like meditation. Body work is you're in your animal body. Like that's kind of almost like an opposite thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's very much about here and now and your body and your physical capacity. Like, yeah, so it's so fascinating. But yeah, I understand what you say. You know, when people haven't come across this before, they'll put everything into one basket of like, oh, it's all woo-woo, it's all about the same stuff, and it doesn't work. And so it's understandable. So if we kind of leave people with maybe something they can do to, obviously we've kind of explained how it all shows up, and maybe a lot of people are like, well, what do I do with this now? I think first point is notice, as what we discussed, right? It's like close that gap between it happening and you noticing what's happening. So I think that's the first step. And what do you feel people could practically do, kind of like with that, basically? You know, okay, I'm
So
noticing now.
I would say that noticing is a huge part of this though. Like I think it's hard to go from noticing to like wriggling because you really need to really fully understand the state you're in. And then I think even just noticing and being aware of the sensations in your body as you're in these states and just allowing them to be there is step one.
Yeah.
I think that's like the first thing that you could do. So what I would say is go back through this episode, and when we start talking about different states, pause and note down, okay, so when was the last time I did this? If ever, you probably did. And bring it to mind and bring the situation to mind if you want to. And then just note down what you're experiencing at that moment as you're bringing it up.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, because again, that's the closing of the gap. It's like, oh, I know that it happened. So then when next time it happens, your brain will be more tuned in. It might take a few times. You might lash out multiple times before you're like, oh, this is what's happening. And that's okay. And I think that's the part of it about, noticing and just being with it, as you say. It will bring that little bit of curiosity and compassion and understanding to yourself as a system of behaviors. And that's what
you could do like a simple resourcing. Like you could literally just put your hand on your heart, right? And you could just breathe and acknowledge that these sensations are here and that I'm safe and I'm fine, everything's okay.
Yeah. And we can talk so much, like there's so much regulation, so many regulation practices. Look into them, check out Emily's account, check out my account, like just look into it if that's starting to resonate. And as you say, like people come to you because they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. So if you're in that place where it's like something needs to change, it will require some education, some practices, some looking into that, and maybe working with a practitioner if you can afford one. And just kind of taking charge, not getting out of that powerlessness, feeling out of that state of like, oh, it's just happening and I can't do anything about it. Yeah,
exactly. And start to notice as well, like, okay, what is the consequence of this on my life?
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to make a choice either to continue as you are, because that's the most comfortable, convenient, the best option, or you will have to say, well, what's better than that? Yeah. So that's the consequence part of it. Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Well,
Thank
I really
you so
enjoyed
much.
this chat. You're so welcome. And if anyone wants to follow me, Emily Rose Dallara Coach on Instagram.
Beautiful. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Em. That was amazing.
Yay, you're very welcome.